Angus Young, a name synonymous with unstoppable energy, searing guitar riffs, and legendary stage presence. As the lead guitarist and founding member of AC/DC, he has been a rock icon for over 5 decades. Though his signature duck walk may not be as agile as it once was, Angus's spirit remains just as fiery as the day he first stepped on stage. Now in his 70s, he continues to entertain millions of fans around the world, proving that true rock knows no retirement. In today's fast-paced world where trends change in an instant, Angus deliberately avoids following fashion fads and stays true to his iconic schoolboy guitarist image. Despite being recognized as a top-tier guitarist with immense wealth, Angus chooses a modest lifestyle. He shuns glamour and avoids flaunting luxury both on and off the stage. In this video, we'll take a journey through Angus Young's incredible career, from the early days of AC/DC in Australia to the massive success of legendary albums like Back in Black, and his undeniable influence in shaping the sound of modern hard rock. We'll also uncover the more personal side of Angus, a simple man, deeply dedicated to his music, and loyal to the lifestyle and partner he chose from a young age. Behind his explosive on-stage persona lies a humble musician whose only desire is to play guitar and give his best energy to the fans. This is the story of a true legend, not just a history maker, but a torchbearer who keeps the spirit of rock alive for generation after generation. Angus MacKinnon Young was born on March 31, 1955, in Glasgow, Scotland. He grew up in a working-class neighborhood called Cranhill, alongside his parents, William and Margaret, and his 7 siblings. The family lived a modest life. His father had worked various jobs, including as a postman and aircraft mechanic during World War II, while his mother was a homemaker. Music was an integral part of the Young household from an early age. Several of his siblings could play musical instruments, and 2 of them, George and Malcolm, would go on to form the legendary rock band AC/DC with Angus. He began playing guitar at the age of 5 or 6, first learning a few basics from his brother before teaching himself. At one point, he even played a banjo that had been modified with 6 strings like a guitar. In 1963, due to the harsh Scottish winters and in search of a better life, the Young family emigrated to Sydney, Australia. They initially lived in a migrant hostel before settling in the suburb of Burwood. Angus attended Burwood Public School and later Ashfield Boys High School, though he never had much interest in academics, except for art. He eventually dropped out of school at the age of 15 and took on various jobs, including working in a butcher shop and a printing press. His first guitar was a cheap acoustic bought by his mother. After earning a bit of money from work, he purchased a second-hand Gibson SG, a guitar that would go on to become his trademark on stage. Angus was influenced by a range of legendary musicians, including his brother Malcolm, Chuck Berry, Freddie King, Muddy Waters, Keith Richards, and Jimi Hendrix. His guitar style is rich in blues and classic rock influences, often using pentatonic scales, along with signature techniques like pull-offs and arpeggios. Before forming AC/DC, Angus and Malcolm were involved in a musical project called the Marcus Hook Roll Band, which also featured their older brother George Young and his collaborator Harry Vanda. Together, they released an album in Australia titled Tales of Old Grand-Daddy. In addition, Angus also played in several local bands, including Kentucky, which later changed its name to Tantrum. Angus Young was 18 years old when he and his brother, Malcolm Young, formed AC/DC in 1973. Angus took on the role of lead guitarist, while Malcolm played rhythm guitar. The original lineup also included Colin Burgess, Larry Van Crete, and Dave Evans. They were signed by Albert Productions, the same label that had previously worked with the Easy Beats. The name AC/DC was suggested by their sister, Margaret, after she saw the letters AC/DC on her sewing machine. The name was considered fitting, as it reflected the band's raw energy and electric spirit. In the early days, Angus experimented with various stage costumes, including Spider-Man, Zorro, a gorilla, and a parody character named Super Ang. However, he eventually settled on the now iconic schoolboy uniform, a suggestion from his sister. To reinforce the schoolboy image, the media and fans were told he was born in 1959 instead of 1955. AC/DC's debut album, High Voltage, was released in Australia on February 17, 1975, featuring the standout track, Baby, Please Don't Go. Within 3 years, they became one of Australia's most popular hard rock bands, thanks to albums like TNT, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, Let There Be Rock, and Powerage, all produced by George Young and Harry Vanda. In 1979, they released Highway to Hell, which became their global breakthrough. However, just months later, lead singer Bon Scott tragically passed away from alcohol poisoning. Doubts arose over whether the band could continue, but Angus and the others decided to push forward. They recruited Brian Johnson, former vocalist of the band Geordie. Only 5 months after Scott's death, AC/DC released Back in Black as a tribute. The album was a massive success, becoming one of the best-selling albums of all time, second only to Michael Jackson's Thriller, with over 50 million copies sold worldwide. Their next album, For Those About to Rock We Salute You, solidified their status as hard rock royalty. However, the following 3 albums, Flick of the Switch, Fly on the Wall, and Blow Up Your Video, didn't achieve the same level of success. The band's popularity declined, and Malcolm had to temporarily step away from touring due to alcoholism. He was replaced by their nephew, Stevie Young, but returned after overcoming his addiction. In 1990, they made a strong comeback with The Razor's Edge, which sold over 10 million copies and brought them back to the top of the charts. Throughout the next decade, they released Ballbreaker and Stiff Upper Lip, followed by a major comeback in 2008 with Black Ice, which topped charts in 29 countries and led to a massive world tour. In 2010, they released a soundtrack album for the film Iron Man 2 and began working on their 16th studio album in 2011. However, Malcolm did not return to the band permanently due to his deteriorating health. He officially retired in 2014 and sadly passed away in 2017 from complications related to dementia. Stevie Young officially took his place. Later that year, they released Rock or Bust. More challenges followed as drummer Phil Rudd and vocalist Brian Johnson left due to personal and health issues. To keep the tour going, Angus brought in Axl Rose of Guns N' Roses as a temporary vocalist. On September 30, 2020, AC/DC announced a new album, Power Up, with a lineup consisting of Angus Young, Stevie Young, Brian Johnson, Cliff Williams, and Phil Rudd. On stage, Angus is known for his energetic and wild performances. He frequently performs the Chuck Berry-style duck walk, writhes on the floor while still playing guitar, and even rides on the shoulders of the vocalist while shredding a solo. He revealed that his now iconic stage style was actually born out of fear. In an interview with Guitar World, he recalled a nerve-wracking moment from his first performance in a school uniform back in 1974. The audience was stunned by his appearance, and Angus feared that if he stood still, he might get hit by flying bottles. That was the most terrifying moment I've ever had on stage, but thankfully, I didn't have time to think. All I could think was, I don't want to be a target for flying bottles. I figured if I stood still, I'd be dead, so I just kept moving. One of his signature stage antics is a comedic striptease, where he slowly removes his school outfit to reveal underwear, or sometimes even his bare backside, often decorated with local symbols to amuse the audience. Throughout his long career, Angus has experienced many on-stage incidents. One such moment happened in 2000 during a concert in Phoenix, Arizona, when a fan threw a beer toward the stage. Despite the disruption, Angus remained professional. Rather than walking off or reacting negatively, he chose to power through and finish the performance. Angus Young is also widely recognized for his achievements and influence in rock music. In 2006, he received the Kerrang Legend Award, cementing AC/DC's status as one of the most influential bands in rock history. 6 years later, he was voted Greatest Australian Guitarist of all time by Australian Guitar magazine readers, who praised his ability to craft iconic riffs. His global recognition is just as impressive. At the 2010 Grammy Awards, AC/DC won Best Hard Rock Performance for the song War Machine from Black Ice, with Angus serving as the driving force behind their sound. Even earlier, in 2003, Angus and the rest of AC/DC were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Angus Young, the lead guitarist and co-founder of the legendary rock band AC/DC, has an estimated net worth of over $160 million as of 2025. His wealth stems from multiple revenue streams that reflect his extraordinary musical journey. A significant portion of his fortune comes from album sales and song royalties. AC/DC has sold over 200 million records worldwide, with their iconic album Back in Black accounting for about 50 million copies, making it one of the best-selling albums of all time. In addition to album sales, AC/DC's global tours have been a massive source of income. The Black Ice World Tour alone grossed more than $441 million. Angus also earns from official AC/DC merchandise sales, including clothing and accessories. As one of the band's primary songwriters, he receives royalties from many of their hit songs, such as Highway to Hell and You Shook Me All Night Long. Outside of music, Angus has invested in real estate, including a luxury home in Alton, Netherlands, which features a private recording studio, as well as other properties in Sydney, Australia. Despite his immense success, Angus Young is known for living a very modest lifestyle, far removed from the glamorous image often associated with top-tier rock stars. Even as a global icon with AC/DC, he prefers to keep things simple, frequently seen wearing plain t-shirts, his signature casual look. He's often accompanied by his loyal bodyguard, Robert Johnson Jr., yet remains approachable and warm with fans, always showing appreciation for those who admire his work. Unlike some of his bandmates, such as Brian Johnson, who is known for his love of cars and a collection of vintage vehicles, Angus has never been particularly interested in automobiles. In an interview, he once admitted that even when his friends were engrossed in car magazines, he preferred spending time with his guitar. That said, a few vehicles have been linked to him over the years. In the 1980s, Angus was seen driving a Ford XB Falcon Coupe, a classic Australian car similar to the iconic vehicle in the Mad Max films. During the 1990s, he reportedly owned a Holden Commodore, a popular everyday car in Australia. He has also been said to possess an old Mercedes-Benz, gifted to him by AC/DC's management, and a few classic Mini Coopers as part of a private collection, though these are rarely showcased to the public. Angus Young has been married to Ellen van Lochem, a Dutch woman, since 1980. Their love story is quite unique and began through Ellen's longtime friend, Whitesnake guitarist Adrian Vandenberg. At the time, Adrian was performing as the opening act for an AC/DC concert near Arnhem, the city where Ellen was attending university. Ellen asked Adrian to put her name on the concert's guest list. Although Adrian was just in the opening band, he managed to get Ellen and two of her friends backstage access. Interestingly, Ellen is approximately 194 centimeters tall, while Angus Young is known for his relatively small stature. Adrian informed the security personnel that 3 tall, blonde women would be coming backstage. He thought it would be an amusing moment to introduce them to the members of AC/DC, considering the band's generally shorter height. A few weeks after the concert, Ellen contacted Adrian to let him know that she was in Paris with Angus. A year after that chance meeting, they decided to get married, and they've maintained a strong and lasting relationship ever since. Despite Angus's status as a global rock icon, his marriage to Ellen has remained low-profile and drama-free. The couple does not have children, and has chosen to lead a quiet and private life. Angus is also known for being a heavy smoker, but unlike many stereotypical rock stars, he has never used alcohol or drugs. In an interview, he recalled that during tours in America, drug dealers would often try to offer him substances, but he always declined, preferring instead to enjoy chocolate and milk. His habits even confused the dealers, who assumed chocolate was a code word for some kind of drug. Angus has remained committed to a clean lifestyle, free from alcohol and narcotics, throughout his entire career. Outside of the music world, Angus Young has a deep love for tennis. He has been spotted attending matches at the French Open, often accompanied by his wife, Ellen van Lochem. One particularly memorable moment occurred in 2015, when Angus showed up to watch Roger Federer play. His presence wasn't just a random celebrity sighting. Angus and Federer actually admire each other. Federer is a well-known AC/DC fan and has openly referred to Angus Young as one of his musical heroes. "It was awesome seeing Angus Young at the tennis match," Federer said. "I actually met him once, back when I had long hair, about 15 years ago. I think he still remembers me." Federer even shared a photo with Angus and captioned it, "Thank you, Angus Young, for taking the time. One of my music heroes who's still as cool as ever."